and it slowly dissipated into the depths below. I followed. Welcome to Friday Night Ghost Frights. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. Explore with us. Tonight is part 2 of Mysteries of the Church of Darkness from Ghost Story and Case Files. When we left off, we were about to investigate Black Bear Church, the creepy abandoned church with a crawler. There's a cemetery right across the dirt road. Exhibit 7, Black Bear Investigation. Time of investigation, 10:35 p.m. to 2:47 a.m. Arrival. I parked next to the church as always. There were no signs of coyotes, as is sometimes the case at this location, nor were there any teenagers lurking about partying, as is also sometimes the case. I performed an immediate EMF and photo sweep of the church. There were no EMF anomalies at the time, and nothing unusual appeared immediately in the photographs. Out in the middle of nowhere, there is no power here at all. EVP session number 1 at the church, 10:52 p.m. to 11:28 p.m. This was conducted in the pulpit area where I had captured a photograph of an illuminated ball of light during one of my previous investigations of the location. I discovered nothing of significance during this particular EVP session. One personal observance was the possible shadow movement outside one of the windows, but I was unable to confirm it, and it didn't happen again during the EVP session. Cemetery sweep. Like I had done in the church, I conducted an EMF and photo sweep of the cemetery. This also revealed nothing. EVP session number 2 at the cemetery, 11:57 p.m. to 12:36 a.m. I set up this EVP session at the location in which we had previously interacted with Bartholomew Jenkins, between the unknown cowboy's grave marker and the stand of trees. My plan was to personally address each and to try to have a conversation with both of them. 12:08 a.m. I thought I audibly heard the word "here" in a male voice, and I later confirmed this when I reviewed the audio recording later. There were no follow-ups to my responses. 12:22 a.m. In a different male voice than the one from 12:08 a.m. is a single word, "brother." I did not hear this audibly. It was only picked up by the audio recorder. Personal observations at the church, 12:41 a.m. to 12:49 a.m. Re-entering the church at this time was a very different experience than when I first entered earlier in the evening. When I crossed the threshold into the sanctuary, a chill ran up my spine, and my senses were immediately alerted. I snapped a few photographs with my camera, but again, nothing was immediately evident. A large shadow mass seemed to be lurking near the stairwell to the basement, and it slowly dissipated into the depths below. I followed. EVP session number 3 at the church, 12:51 a.m. to 1:38 a.m. The shadow mass did not appear to be present when I first ventured into the basement. I immediately began recording audio and taking photographs. 12:54 a.m. Within minutes of entering the basement and beginning the EVP session, the shadow seemed to creep out from the far wall along the ceiling near the back entrance. It circled around the exterior wall and then stopped, seeming to hover in one spot for a while. Again, the shadow slowly dissipated away. One EVP was recorded during this time, a classic "Get Out." I also captured a small illuminated ball of light near one of the windows. 1:04 a.m. I explained at a bit of length that I was just curious about who or what he or she was, that I was just interested in learning more about it. In response to the question, "Were you summoned here?" the audio recorder picked up the intelligent response of, "No, I came." 1:12 a.m. Audible footsteps near the stairwell were heard, also picked up by my recorder. 1:14 a.m. After a few times of requesting, "Come closer so I can properly introduce myself," I felt a heavy breathing near my right ear. The audio recorder did not pick this up, and photography captured nothing. 1:38 a.m. Concluded the session. The activity subsided about as quickly as it had started. I believe the entity left the basement after breathing heavily in my ear. The air about the room seemed lighter and less dense, and all personal experiences had completely ceased. EVP session number 4 at the cemetery, 1:43 a.m. to 2:47 a.m. 1:43 a.m. I began another EVP session in the cemetery at the same location. I normally don't do this and switch locations, but given the previous activity and my goal for the evening, I made an exception. 1:56 a.m. Again, I heard the word here, which the audio recorder also captured. 2:02 a.m. I spotted shadow movement near the trees and began taking pictures. There was nothing immediately discernible on the camera's previous screen. 2:08 a.m. At this time, I was asking questions to the unknown cowboy about where he was headed when he passed away, and I audibly heard the word bell. A later review of the audio uncovered another word just before bell, but it's too muffled to make out. It's a single syllable. 2:12 a.m. For the first time all evening, the EMF detector finally started being active. Lights on the recorder were reaching as high as orange, 10 milligauss, and one time reached red, 20 plus milligauss. For a brief moment near the unknown cowboy's grave marker, a small blue ball of light danced about. I caught a faint glow of it with my camera. 2:15 a.m. I audibly heard footsteps coming toward me from the direction of the cowboy's grave marker. These were also picked up by the audio recorder. What my ears did not hear, but was captured on audio, was a male voice stating, "Go there." Photographs revealed nothing. 2:22 a.m. Activity seemed to have calmed down, but I thought I saw a little additional shadow play near the trees again. Photographs revealed nothing. 2:47 a.m. Concluded investigation. All is quiet. Final investigation notes. Again, I find that the two locations have a very different feel to them. The church, once a holy place, is now very dark. The cemetery, a place where the dead rest, has a definitively friendlier feel to it. A review of the photographs revealed two additional notes. One, the photograph of the small illuminated ball of light in the basement of the church seems to have a dark shadow lurking behind it in the window. Secondly, one of the photos of the trees in the cemetery, when I thought I saw shadows playing about, revealed what may be a small human shadow figure peering out from behind one of the trees, but it's difficult to tell. All in all, it was a fairly active night. Exhibit 8, Black Bear Analysis. Church. The encounter with the shadow that lurks in the basement was likely the famed crawler of Black Bear Church. From local legend and the letter that was emailed to me, it is believed that this entity was brought forth to the church by an occult ceremony. However, the response given during the EVP session when I asked if it was summoned was seemingly negative, stating, "No, I came." The illuminated ball of light and the shadow lurking behind it could have been one of the small-statured shadows peering in through the basement window, but that is speculation. Cemetery. At the cemetery, I caught two distinctly different male voices on audio. I'd like to think that one was Bartholomew Jenkins and the other was the unknown cowboy. If so, I'd also like to think that the voice that said "here" twice was Jenkins, and the other voice that provided a bit more content was the unknown cowboy. Given that assumption, this cowboy told me "brother," "bell," and "go there." There was another indiscernible word just before "bell," and I'm afraid I'm going to have to speculate upon that if I am to go wherever this cowboy would like me to venture to unravel this mystery. With the church right across the dirt road, it seems like the obvious answer might be a reference to a church bell. However, the scant words mention nothing of a bell at the church, and the old photographs from investigations more than a decade ago, when the roof was still present, reveal no location where a church bell may have been placed. It was a small rural church that serviced a handful of farming families. There really wasn't the need for an expensive bell. It's possible the small dancing blue ball of light near the unknown cowboy's grave marker may have been a clue. If the single-syllable word that preceded bell was blue, then that could have been a reference to the Bluebell Saloon in Guthrie. That's just the sort of place a cowboy may have been headed to, due south. I have no speculation at this time regarding the shadows amongst the trees, other than that they may have been other inhabitants of the cemetery. Exhibit 9, Bluebell Background. The Bluebell Saloon in Guthrie, Oklahoma had been a hub of frontier activity. Its primary function was as a bar, serving alcoholic spirits to those staking their land claim and more. Established in 1889 under a tent in the same fashion that most businesses were founded in the overnight establishment of the town, the Bluebell became a staple of Guthrie, also serving food and selling cigars. Its popularity was also enhanced by the bordello known as Miss Lizzie's that operated out of the same location. When the permanent structure of the building was finally erected, Miss Lizzie's services were moved upstairs while the saloon continued to operate on the ground floor. Legends and rumors swirl around the Bluebell Saloon and Miss Lizzie's bordello. Outlaws of the Old West were frequent patrons, including Wild Bill Doolin and his Wild Bunch gang, the Dalton Gang, the High Fives Gang, and the Cook Gang. Even the Three Guardsmen, the lawmen trying to hunt down those gangs, which included Heck Thomas, Chris Madsen, and Bill Tillman, are rumored to have stopped in for the occasional drink. Miss Lizzie, by all accounts, an intelligent church-going woman, exploited the poor and powerful alike. Families on the brink of losing their homes would sell their young daughters into the service of Miss Lizzie, while a catwalk extending to the hotel across the street would provide access to the 17-room bordello for local politicians and affluent visitors. Outlaws and local authority figures are also said to have ventured up the east side stairwell to the second floor. One of the more popular ghost stories of the Bluebell include a young girl that worked for Miss Lizzie named Claudia. Claudia is said to have been sold to Miss Lizzie to save her family's farm from foreclosure, but she was so vocally opposed to the arrangement that her welcome as one of Miss Lizzie's girls soon soured. The local legend is that Claudia was beaten to death and buried within the saloon by the old coal chute, which is rumored to be an entrance to the old labyrinth of tunnels under Guthrie. This tunnel was used by prominent patrons of the Bluebell and the bordello that wished to be discreet and would have been a perfect exit for a getaway by whomever may have murdered the girl. Whether or not the murder really happened, no one knows for sure, but the spectral cries that emanate from that location have many convinced of her unfortunate demise. Other sightings include the apparition of the same man frequently seen in an assortment of areas within the saloon, including the bar and around the restroom. Scores of women that have visited the saloon today have felt uneasy in the restroom, and many refuse to use it at all. Another man, angry with a handlebar mustache and a brown derby hat, is said to appear in the basement sometimes and hurl obscenities at those who enter. Additionally, the ghostly figure of a dark-haired woman has been seen many times throughout the bar area, and people believe this is the spirit of Miss Lizzie. Exhibit 10, Bluebell Walkthrough. Ghostorian's Notes. I was unable to secure a full-fledged paranormal investigation of the Bluebell Saloon, but I was able to coordinate a walkthrough of the premises, including Miss Lizzie's bordello, which now serves as a gift shop above the bar. For this walkthrough, I brought along a sensitive with Society of the Haunted to see if she could pick up on any of the spirits that have been rumored to haunt the building. She knew nothing of the history of the location upon arrival. Personally, I enjoyed the tour of the historic location, but there was nothing of significance that stood out to me, aside for the possibility of a passing shadow in the basement, where there was a heavier palpability in the air than the rest of the building. As I usually do with most locations, I introduced myself to whatever entities may have been present. I also mentioned the unknown cowboy that tried to elicit a response, but to no avail. Sensitive's Notes. There's a mixture of personalities present, which is probably due to all the people that have been in and out of the building over the years. There is definitely a strong female that is present, and she commands respect. I don't believe she is evil or means to do anyone any physical harm as long as they don't cross her, but she rules the roost. There are several male spirits throughout the building, the most prominent one lurking in the basement. He's angry, and I sense that he occasionally lashes out with a display of mischief. A couple other men lurk near the bar as if they may have been regular patrons while they are alive and just kept stopping by for a drink in the afterlife. There's also a sadness about the place, as if there has been innocence lost in the abuse of children at the location. There seems to be more imprinted upon the building than coming from one specific spirit. Ghostorian's Analysis. There is nothing to specifically discern from this walkthrough that would help the case. The history behind the location and the entities that the sensitive picked up on are interesting, but none of that can be tied into the unknown cowboy. Exhibit 10, The Parcel. This is an excerpt from my personal case journal. Day 8. An unusual parcel arrived today. Wrapped in brown paper with no return address was a pack of vintage playing cards featuring the embossed logo of the Santa Fe Railroad. I'm not sure what to make of that at this point, other than the fact that the old Santa Fe Railroad depot stands prominently in Guthrie, from which I just come. But I always appreciate adding antiquities to my collection. While I was putting the deck of cards on a shelf in the living room, Mary appeared to me in the doorway. Mary is the spirit of a little girl from one of my previous cases who has visited me from time to time. She asked me one question and then evaporated into the air. Why are you not trying to find her? Exhibit 11. Conversation with Mary. Every town has its secrets. Every community keeps hidden things that nobody wants to talk about. Shame would scar those that remain, and seldom few ever want to deal with the pain. Ghostorian's notes. The closest large town to Black Bear is Enid, unless you want to count Garber, but there is little more than a couple gas stations and the co-op. If you couldn't get what you needed in Enid back in the early 20th century, you would make the trek to Guthrie, which had originally been the capital of Oklahoma. This was especially true of any significant business deals, including the sale of people. EVP session at home with Mary, 7:43 p.m. to 8:27 p.m. 7:43 p.m. I performed this as a burst EVP session, asking questions for about 2 minutes, then stopping the recorder and listening back for possible responses. This can generate an almost live type of conversation with a spirit. My question: Mary, who do you want me to find? Mary, the girl. 7:47 p.m. My question: what girl? Does she have a name? No response. 7:51 p.m. My questions: Mary, what girl do you want me to find? Who should I be looking for? Mary: from the church. 7:55 p.m. My questions: which church, Mary? Black Bear Church? No response. 7:59 p.m. My questions: Mary, which church is the girl from? Black Bear Church? Did she go to New Bethany Baptist Church? Mary: yes and no. 8:03 p.m. My question: what do you mean by and no? Mary: she lost her family. 8:07 p.m. My question: was she kidnapped? No. Did she get lost? Yes. Did she run away? No response. 8:11 p.m. My question: where did she get lost, Mary? Around the church? Mary: no. Family lost her. 8:15 p.m. Where did the family lose her, Mary? No response. 8:19 p.m. Mary, who is this girl and where did the family lose her? Elizabeth. They went to Guthrie. 8:23 p.m. Thank you, Mary. Where in Guthrie did they lose Elizabeth? They needed money. 8:27 p.m. Who needed money? The family? Where in Guthrie did Elizabeth get lost? They lost her because they needed money. This essentially concluded the EVP session since Mary stopped responding to any further questioning. We'll conclude with part 3 on the next Friday Night Ghost Frights. Thank you for watching Friday Night Ghost Frights. Please let us know what you thought of this video in the comments below. And if you're not yet, please subscribe and click that little bell icon for notifications. I'm Mike Ricksecker. Until next Friday night.